We're going to get to my Bears winners and losers following a 24-17 loss to the Colts in Week 2 of the NFL preseason. My name is Harrison Graham. A lot of storylines emerging out of this one, despite most of the starters, pretty much all of them, not playing for the Bears. A lot of them sitting for the Colts as well. A lot of backup quarterback talk, so it's going to be very, very exciting to explore that over the next few days. But before we jump into those winners and losers, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. The road to 70,000 subs is here, and we're trying to get there as soon as possible. We're 69,219, 781 away. We got to get to 70,000 by week 1. That's the goal. Help us out. Make it happen. Daily content here on the channel. I think the biggest winner by far is Tyson Bagent, the undrafted rookie quarterback who I thought should have been drafted. I love when the Bears signed him, and my initial thought was, oh, great practice squad option. You can develop this guy there. Well, it's funny how things change, right? And they've changed in a more positive way for Tyson Bagent. Like, not only is he a guy worth developing, but I think you've got to develop him on the 53-man roster. I thought he looked sharp, got the ball out quickly. The accuracy was on display, and the mobility was even more impressive than I thought. I knew he could move. 9 for 10, 76 yards in this game against the Colts. He was good, man. He was good. And with P.J. Walker, who we'll talk about in a bit, struggling, like, there's a real conversation to be had among this front office and coaching staff of, okay, if we're keeping P.J. Walker, fine, but I think you've got to keep Tyson Bagent too. Like, this is a guy you can't let go, because if you cut him, he will get claimed. And we always talk about every year, if you cut this guy, he's going to get claimed, and you're going to lose him forever, and usually you get him back on the practice squad. I don't think you'll get Bagent to the practice squad. He will get claimed. The arm talent is real. I think you've got to keep him on the 53 if he's someone you're interested in developing. Who was the biggest winner on this Bears roster from the game against the Colts on Saturday night? Let me know. I think it's got to be Tyson Bagent. He showed out, and if for some reason the Bears do cut him, he's still a winner because some other team's going to sign him, and he's going to be making more money. So Tyson Bagent for me. What say you? Shout his name out in the comments section. I think Roschon Johnson's another clear winner for the Bears, as the rookie running back has just slowly but surely been kind of increasing his opportunities here in his reps. Because remember, he missed some practice earlier on in training camp, and it was like, okay, like maybe his role won't be super big early on. And I'm not going to say it's huge, but if you're comparing him and D'Onta Foreman, Foreman had 3 carries for 12 yards. He started this game, and I thought he had a couple nice runs. Roschon he's just more dynamic, I think. Like, he's just as physical as a bruiser like Foreman is, but he can catch the ball better. He's great in blitz pickup, which Foreman is not great in that department. He had a couple runs where you're just like, dude, he's bouncing off 2, 3, 4 tacklers. He sees the hole well, had a couple nice cutbacks on toss plays. Roschon Johnson, who's been listed as the number 3 running back on this depth chart, like, maybe that'll be the case going into the season, but the arrow's pointing up, whereas Foreman, the arrow's not pointing down, but it's sideways. He's on a 1-year deal. Roschon's on the first year of a 4-year rookie contract. Like, he's going to be a factor before long for out of this backfield, and I think maybe as soon as week 1 is a guy who, at minimum, is going to rotate in quite a bit. Thought he's had a couple of nice preseason games now. How about Daurice Fountain? And you see him in a Chiefs uniform there because a couple of years ago he was on their 53-man roster. He had himself a night. Like, going into this game, there was a lot of opportunity for backup receivers because basically your top 5 didn't play. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool all sit. Tyler Scott didn't play. Bayless Jones didn't play. Dante Pettis did play. Equinemius St. Brown did play. So did Daurice Fountain, who was not really on our radar going into this game, and he took advantage of his opportunities. Led the team in receiving by a wide margin with 5 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Pettis had 2 catches for 13 yards. Equinemius St. Brown, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, 0 catches. He has 0 catches in 2 preseason games. I think there's a storyline there, but could Daurice Fountain find himself on the roster bubble now? He made multiple physical catches, had a sick catch in the end zone on a scramble drill from Nathan Peterman for about 35 yards. He can play on special teams too, and he's a big body guy. Like, I'm intrigued by the Fountain here. There's better water fountains out there, but the Daurice Fountain, he might be here to stay. Terrell Lewis, he's got to make the team. Like, there's just no way you can keep him off. Like, if you cut him over someone else at edge, you're just not evaluating this fairly. Like, if this is about who's producing in practice and in games, Terrell Lewis has to make the 53-man roster. In 2 preseason games, he has 2 strip sacks. Like, he's getting the quarterback. He just is. And by the way, the Bears as a whole in this game only had 1 sack. It was Terrell Lewis. They had 8 last week, 1 this week. Lewis is the one guy who got home. Like, he's making the team. There's no way he doesn't. You're going to have to make a tough cut somewhere, whether it's Trevis Gipson, Rasheem Green, whoever. It can't be Terrell Lewis, though. The guy's made plays every opportunity he's got. How about D'Anthony Jones? Kind of an edge DT hybrid here. Kind of a tweener. I liked the UDFA pickup. Now, full disclosure, I don't think there's a chance for him to make the 53-man roster, but in the second half of the game, when there wasn't a ton to talk about, especially on defense, he kind of popped. Like, he had a couple of good pressures, almost got Sam Ehlinger a couple of times, couldn't quite finish the play on a couple of occasions, but producer Rolly and I were watching, and there was one play he noticed where, like, he had a 6 swim move where he just dusts the left tackle and almost gets home. So I think there's something there. I don't think he's going to make the 53. I just think there's too much competition there. But for a practice squad guy, I think there's something with D'Anthony Jones worth exploring further. Before we get to some losers from this game, BetUS is the place to go to place wagers this football season. And, hey, listen, this preseason game was very entertaining because of BetUS, because Rolly and I bet the under, and it ended up being right at it. Chatsports.com/Bears, promo code BEARDOWN. Once you get signed up to get a 125% deposit bonus, put down $100, get $125 for free. You'll have plenty of money throughout this football season. We talked about Tyson Bagent as a winner. I mean, P.J. Walker is the loser of the night. I hate to say it, but, I mean, I don't know if his roster spot's in jeopardy, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. And it's just a tough one because you signed him to a 2-year, $4.5 million deal. So you don't have a huge commitment, but you did give him a 2-year deal. He's dual threat. He's got familiarity with DJ Moore, which can be valuable to have with Justin Fields, who's still a young quarterback. But, I mean, at what point do you sit there and you're just like, he's not better than Tyson Bagent? Like, for me, Bagent's the backup. Like, if you keep 3, that's fine. And if you want to say Walker on your depth chart is the number 2, just to, like, make him feel better about himself, cool, whatever, and Bagent's more the developmental guy, I'm fine with that. But, like, to me, you're sending the wrong message to Bears fans if you keep P.J. Walker and cut Bagent. If you keep all 3, I'm cool. I don't have a problem with that. Like, I think P.J. Walker's just in a funk. He's played better than this in the past, but he's just missing throws. He's taking sacks. Like, it doesn't look good. Maybe the system doesn't work for him. I don't know. But something's got to change quickly for him because I don't think fans are on his side right now, especially with the kind of out of nowhere, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but surprise of Tyson Bagent. How about Equanimeous St. Brown? I think we got to start talking about EQ more, guys. Like, I know he's a Getsy guy coming down from Green Bay last year. They gave him the cheap 1-year extension late last season, which you kind of felt was notable, but no catches? Like, no catches. Your top 4 or 5 receivers are out, and EQ, you're like, okay. And by the way, first drive, it's 3rd and 12. It wouldn't have been a first down, but on a 7-yard hitch, this was actually a nice play by Walker, probably the only one he made all night, where I think the Colts brought 6. They brought a hot blitz, and he read it. He got it out quick. Hits EQ right here. I mean, you can't throw it to a better spot, and he drops it. Again, he would have had to make a guy miss to get the tackle. Or the first down. I'm not saying that would have happened, but you can't drop 7-yard hitches, man. Like, at the end of the day, when you look at these receivers, right, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Claypool, they're all making it. Tyler Scott's making it. They're not going to cut him. So then you've got St. Brown, Velus Jones, and Dante Pettis. You're not going to carry 7, I don't think. Oh, I'll throw Daurice Fountain in there, too. Those 4 guys for 2 spots, Velus Jones, St. Brown, Pettis, and Fountain. Based on what I saw tonight, because Pettis didn't show much either, even though he at least caught punts, I'm keeping Velus Jones because he can give you a lot of juice on kickoff return, other special teams areas, albeit not punt returner probably, and within the offense. And then it's down to 1 spot for 3 guys, St. Brown, Pettis, and Fountain. What does St. Brown do above average? If he's a good blocking receiver, okay, but if he's your number 5 or 6, like, what value does that really have? Because he's not going to be on the field. If he's your number 5 or 6, he's not going to be on the field. And if he is, you're telling the defense to run the football because all he does pretty well is block. Like, at some point, like, EQ may not be the answer, and that's okay. We appreciate his services last year. It was a rebuilding year. He had some value here, but that was then, this is now. Equanimous St. Brown, there's a reason Green Bay cut him, and he couldn't crack it there because he's just not that good. Daurice Fountain may have something. That might be worth developing further over a St. Brown. I don't know. It's just something to consider because at what point are you just what does he actually do very well other than run block? Not much. Doesn't do much on special teams, so something to consider. I think you guys should chew on that tonight or tomorrow. Okay, biggest loser in this game. It might be EQ. Probably PJ Walker, but EQ's up there. Show me something. Please, Equanimous, calling you out. Show me something. Stephen Carlson had 1 catch for 2 yards. The opportunity was there tonight. Top 3 tight ends sat with Cole Kmet and obviously Robert Tonyan and Mercedes Lewis not playing. Carlson got the start, played a lot of snaps, 1 catch for 2 yards. Then, unfortunately, got banged up late in the game, gimped off the field with a pretty heavy limp. So, I think it was going to be a long shot for a 4th tight end to make this roster, but if he had a big game tonight, maybe he makes the staff think about it. He didn't do that. I don't think he's making the 53. Trevis Gipson, he didn't play bad. Had a QB hurry, 3 tackles. I'd have to review the film, see how he set the edge in the run game, but he certainly didn't pop like last week, right? And I think when you're listed as a 4th-string defensive end, yes, you have the big game last week, but you're looking for more production again, and it really just wasn't there on Saturday night. So, again, I kind of think it's up to him and Rasheem Green for that final edge spot, and they might lean Green because he's been much better in practice, and he's a veteran that's played pretty well, whereas Gipson in 3 years has had 1 good season. So, it's going to come down to the wire for Trevis probably. He's going to have to play better this week in practice and next week. Tyreek Stevenson, I'm going to cut minor loser. He didn't play bad, but he had that personal foul, which ended up getting offset, threw Kenyon Drake out of bounds when he was clearly already out of bounds, so that wasn't great. Kenyon Drake responded, kind of chested him up, so it was offsetting penalty, so he kind of got bailed out. But he also completely whiffed on an interception in the end zone. I mean, he reads Gardner Minshew's eyes, jumps, and somehow the ball whiffs. I'm going to have to watch it again because, it's unreal how he didn't how the ball didn't hit his finger at least. I don't even know how that happened, but it ended up being caught for a touchdown, and that can't happen. At worst, you got to knock that down. So those were a couple mistakes. Had a couple good moments, blew up a wide receiver screen, but when you have a chance at a turnover and not only not get it, but can't get a hand on it at least, and it gets caught for a touchdown, that could be the difference between winning and losing in a regular season. And, oh, by the way, how many points you lose by tonight? 7? That was 7 points for the Indianapolis Colts. All right, should the Bears play their starters against the Bills? Because they basically did not on Saturday night. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think a lot of them should play. Now, if you want to sit Yannick Ngakoue, if you want to sit DJ Moore and a couple other key guys, I'm cool with that. But I'd like to see Fields play at least a couple drives. Definitely some of these mid-tier starters that aren't your top 3 or 4 players. Darnell Wright, the rookie, he needs to play. I was kind of surprised he sat tonight, but let us know what you guys think. Why for yes and for no? Would you play the starters against the Bills next week? That's going to do it for today's Bears winners and losers show, day after a 7-point loss to the Colts in preseason week 2. Give me a follow on social media at HGramNFL on Twitter and on Instagram. We will have more reaction and get you ready for week 3 of the preseason throughout the week.